Use my code PAID10 to get 10% off your next order of Advanced GG. This new Void Hunter build is insane with some of the new things that Bungie released with Heresy. With things like the new On the Prowl Void aspect, the new arc verb called Bolt Charge, and artifact perks like Unraveling Orbs and Horde Shuttle, this Void build makes you feel like you're playing on Prismatic. Let me explain. And while you're here, consider subscribing. 90% of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, and you guys are missing out on exotic guides and top tier builds that you guys could be using.
Yo, it's time to subscribe to Paid to Be Famous. What are you doing?
Subscribe to Paid to Be Famous.
Subscribe to Paid to Be Famous. Like the video. Come on.
Hell
you know
yeah.
the drill.
Button.
And slap that like button.
Now, first off, let's talk about the On the Prowl Void aspect. Just got introduced in Heresy Act 1. States that entering invisibility marks a nearby combatant as a priority target for you and your team. Defeating the priority targets creates a weakening cloud of smoke that makes you and your allies invisible when passing through it. When priority targets are defeated, you and your nearby allies gain increased weapon reload speed and stability for a short duration, and granted grenade, melee, and class ability energy. So essentially, this is going to give us a crazy uptime on all of our abilities. And with the release of Heresy, Bungie also introduced the Bolt Charge verb. It says accumulate stacks of arc bolt charge. While you have a bolt charge sustained, weapon damage generates stacks of bolt charge at maximum stacks, and ability damage generates a powerful bolt of arc lightning at the target's location, and also receiving a stack of bolt charge will also grant you melee energy. So already with that one aspect and this new bolt charge perk, we got a lot of ability energy coming back to us. Then on the artifact, we have Unraveling Orbs. Whenever we pick up an orb or a tangle, our strand weapons are going to get unraveling rounds. And when the unraveling rounds actually kill a target, they will unwind into a tangle, which is really nice. And we also have Horde Shuttle. Damaging unraveled targets with this weapon will occasionally spawn a threadling. So on our purely Void subclass, we're going to be taking advantage of Arc and Strand. And that is just with our subclass, not to mention if you want to run a solar weapon with Incandescent to ignite targets, or a stasis weapon with Chill Clip to freeze and shatter targets. You can literally set this build up just like it's prismatic. Now, the exotic we're going to be using is the Moth Keeper's Wraps. Comes with the perk Winged Eclipse. Your grenade becomes a cage of loyal moths that release on impact and fly toward the nearest target or ally. If they reach the target, they detonate in a blinding explosion. If they reach an ally, the moth grants your ally a void overshield. And the moths can also fly towards you and give yourself an overshield. Now, why are we using this exotic? Well, because the moths actually do arc damage and count as an arc grenade, which can actually start the bolt charge for us. So once we get a kill with our moth, we'll get a stack of bolt charge, and then all you need to do is just keep damaging enemies, and you can stack it all the way up to times 10. And once you get to times 10, all you got to do is throw down one of your abilities at an enemy, like your smoke bomb, and you'll rain down that devastating lightning strike from above. And you can also use weapons that have the Rolling Storm perk. Rolling Storm will grant you stacks of bolt charge, like the new Watchful Eye machine gun. And you also have the Psycho Pomp grenade launcher that has Rolling Storm that builds up a bunch of stacks of bolt charge for you. So now that we've gone over how we're going to be incorporating other subclass elements into just this Void subclass, let's go over everything else. We're going to be using the Shadow Shot Deadfall Tether to weaken and suppress targets, and our tether will actually stun overload champions. We've got the Gambler's Dodge. Whenever we dodge near an enemy, this will fully recharge our melee ability. We have the Snare Bomb. You throw this at enemies to disorient them, and you can actually weaken them so that they take increased damage and have their movement speed slowed. And then choose whatever grenade you want, because with the exotic, it just converts it into a moth anyways. And for our aspects, we already went over On the Prowl, and we're going to be pairing that with Stylish Executioner. Defeating a weakened, suppressed, or volatile target grants invisibility and true sight. After performing a stylish execution, your next melee attack while invisible weakens targets. So with our weapons, we're going to have volatile up all the time, and with our melee, we're going to have targets weakened all the time. So it's going to make it very easy for us to go invisible. As for the fragments, we have Echo of Starvation, one of the best fragments you can use, because picking up a Void Breach or an Orb of Power will grant us Devour. Devour will give us our health back, and it'll actually give us more grenade energy back, so we can keep tossing those arc moths out on the battlefield. We've got Echo of Persistence, which is basically just going to increase the duration of our invisibility and our Devour, and also when the moth gives us an overshield. Then we have Echo of Cessation. Finish your final blows, create a burst of void damage that causes nearby combatants to become volatile. Defeating volatile targets creates a Void Breach. So this is just another way to proc Devour from picking up a Void Breach and to make targets volatile. Then we have Echo of Instability. Defeating targets with grenades grants volatile rounds to your void weapons. Now the arc moths that we're going to be throwing out count as an arc grenade, so that will grant our void weapons volatile. Then we have Echo of Harvest. Defeating a weakened target creates an orb of power and a void breach. It is very easy to kill a weakened target. All you got to do is throw a smoke on him. He's weakened, get the kill, and we got an orb and a void breach, and we went invisible. And as you can see here, we throw down the moths. Let that get some kills. And as you can see, we now have bolt charge. So now we can just keep doing damage to increase it. And since that was a grenade kill, we also have volatile rounds. So now my void weapon can make all these guys volatile. This guy is prioritized, so let's kill him and we'll get melee and grenade energy back. This is just a very good loop to keep going invisible, making everything volatile, blinding everything. So for the mods that I'm using a Void Harmonic Siphon and a Stasis Harmonic Siphon just to create orbs, and a Heavy Ammo Finder. On the gauntlets, we have 2 Impact Inductions, so every time we throw down a melee, it'll reduce our grenade cooldown, and a Loader mod for whatever weapon you're using. I got an Arc Heavy, so that's why I'm using that. Got a Void Reserves and a couple of Void Resists, because in the background gameplay, I was in a Lost Sector over 30 light levels below the recommended power, and it was Void Burn, so I needed that. On the boots, we have Better Already. Our health will regenerate immediately after picking up an orb. We have Recuperation. It's going to replenish our health each time we pick up an orb. And stacks on stacks. Picking up an orb of power grants you 1 additional stack of armor charge. We're going to need that armor charge because we're using 2 utility kickstarts. Whenever we use our class ability, it'll consume the armor charge and we'll gain back more class ability energy from each armor charge used. As you can see, I got 3 armor charges right here, so I'll just dodge. And we are already going to get a good chunk of our dodge back just by doing that. Then in the artifact, we already went over unraveling orbs and Horde Shuttle. We're going to be depending on Volatile a lot, so you're going to need to take Volatile Marksman. Rapid Void Weapon Precision Hits and Rapid Void Weapon Final Blows grant you volatile rounds. Using a machine gun, so Hold the Line is going to gain increased reload and stability, and Final Blows will heal me. Since we are able to activate Bolt Charge, we have Dielectric. Defeating arc debuff targets grants Bolt Charge. We have Maligned Harvest. Rapidly applying Volatile causes your next instant of Void weapon damage to create Weakening Burst. And we have Flashover. Very important here, because when we gain maximum Bolt Charge, you also become amplified, and the Lightning Bolts will deal more damage. So with this build, we're going to get Devour. We're going to be able to weaken, have volatile rounds. We're going to be doing arc damage to gain stacks of Bolt Charge. We're going to be able to blind enemies. We're going to be able to unravel enemies and create Threadlings. And we can also throw some stasis in there with Chill Clip and freeze and shatter enemies. This build really is like playing on Prismatic. And when I'm not using stasis, I like the new submachine gun. This works really well with this build to get the unraveling rounds and creating those Threadlings. This build really is like playing on Prismatic. So if you want to try this out, there will be a dim link down below in the description. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Leave a like if you enjoying the content, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.